In 1140, the Yue family army, led by General Yue Fei, defeated the Jin forces in a succession of battles and advanced close to Kaifeng. The dream of the northern expedition seemed on the verge of fulfillment. However, the pro-peace faction at court and Emperor Gaozong grew deeply fearful. If the north were reclaimed, the former emperors held captive by the Jin could return, threatening Gaozong's own claim to the throne. Chancellor Qin Hui persuaded Gaozong to issue a series of 12 gold medallions, ordering Yue Fei to withdraw immediately. Lamenting that 10 years of effort turned to bubbles overnight, Yue Fei swallowed his tears and turned his army back. Upon his return, Yue Fei was stripped of his military command and relegated to an idle post. Qin Hui and the pro-peace faction seized this opportunity to frame him with fabricated charges of plotting treason and disobeying imperial orders. Despite the lack of evidence, under the pretext of Mo Shu Yu, meaning perhaps there is, or it might well be, Yue Fei, his son Yue Yun, and his lieutenant Zhang Xian were imprisoned at the Fengbo Pavilion. Enduring severe torture while protesting his innocence to the very end, Yue Fei was ultimately executed in January 1142 at the age of 39. Yet death could never erase Yue Fei's name. His rallying cry, "Return our rivers and mountains," Huan Wo Heshan, transcended time and shone even brighter across Chinese history. Quietly regarded as a political scapegoat during the Southern Song dynasty, he was later extolled in the Yuan dynasty's history of song as a loyal minister gifted in both civil and military arts. By the Ming dynasty, he was deified alongside Guan Yu as a martial sage and venerated in shrines nationwide. During the Qing dynasty, the Manchu emperors praised him as a paragon of loyalty to the sovereign. And in the modern era, he was revived as a national hero resisting foreign aggression. To be sure, he was not universally praised across all eras. Contemporary pro-peace officials guarded against him, claiming that his merit was so great, it threatened the sovereign Gonggao Gaiju. And during the Cultural Revolution, his tomb was desecrated amid criticisms of feudal blind loyalty. In contemporary China, his label as a Han-centric national hero has occasionally been tempered within the framework of a multi-ethnic nation. While historical assessments of Yue Fei varied over time, his loyalty and devotion to the Northern Expedition remain an indelible symbol in Chinese history. Meanwhile, Qin Hui, who orchestrated Yue Fei's purge and led the Treaty of Shaoxing, could not escape his own political tragedy. Holding the chancellorship for nearly 19 years, Qin Hui was an influential figure who brought stability to the Southern Song. Through a humiliating peace treaty with the Jin, he ended wartime exhaustion and contributed to reviving the economy and culture south of the Yangtze River. However, the price of framing a loyal minister, purging political opponents, and ruling through terror was heavy. After executing Yue Fei, Qin Hui suffered from acute paranoia. An assassination attempt by a former subordinate of Yue Fei left him feeling as though the entire world wanted him dead. He eventually died of illness in 1155 at age 66, but under the reign of Emperor Shaozong, all his posthumous honors were revoked. Among the populace, he was mocked through food with yu jiakuai, deep-frying Qin Hui, and his memory was cast into eternal disgrace in the form of kneeling iron statues before Yue Fei's tomb. He attained supreme power, yet lost his honor. He preserved a dynasty, yet entered history as a traitor. Following Yue Fei's execution, the Song dynasty embarked on an irreversible path. The loyal general who cried, "Return our rivers and mountains from the cold cells of Fengbo Pavilion," paid for his devotion with his life. With Gaozong and Qin Hui turning a blind eye, the dream of reclaiming the north was abandoned in favor of peace with the Jin. Soon, the Treaty of Shaoxing was signed. It was not merely a peace accord, but a humiliating document that thoroughly crushed Song dignity. The Song had to pay an immense annual tribute of silver and silk to the Jin, and Emperor Gaozong was forced to pay homage to the Jin emperor as a vassal, addressing him as uncle. In exchange for permanently relinquishing the vast territories of northern China, the Song preserved only the lands south of the Huai River and Yangtze. Although the Southern Song secured nominal peace, the cost was staggering. The dream of the Northern Expedition was shattered and military morale plummeted. Ministers indulged in partisan strife, while the imperial court lost itself in extravagant hedonism. Lavish banquets went on night after night in the palaces of Lin and Hangzhou, but behind the splendor loomed the shadow of a declining empire. Meanwhile, the Jin dynasty in the north was far from stable. Having crushed the Liao dynasty and battered the Song through overwhelming force, the Jin began to crumble under internal corruption and power struggles. Farther north, across the Mongolian steppes, a new storm of history was gathering. Temujin unified the nomadic tribes and forged a formidable Mongol cavalry. Ascending as the Great Khan in 1206, he soon directed his blades toward the Jin dynasty. As the Song and Jin stood in mutual standoff, the shadow looming over them both grew ever larger. Thus, the lamp of an era slowly faded. The glory of the northern song, Yue Fei's dream of the northern expedition, and the impassioned cry to reclaim the homeland dissolved into cold history. All that remained was a prolonged standoff across the Yangtze River and the ominous prelude to an approaching storm. The Jin Song Wars had ended, yet the era of true turmoil was only just beginning.